have tried to build into it. That's my understanding. Thank you.
Supervisor Pinches, did you have?
Yeah, I was just wanting to point out the fact that Supervisor Smith brought out that this is strictly for daycares, and that basically has to do with during the day. So parking issues, you know, in a neighborhood, people are going to work and the kids come there, so it don't affect the parking and whatnot. So I think it's great.
Okay. Supervisor Kovacs, additional comment?
No, thank you.
Any other comment from the board? Okay, seeing none, back to the staff. Any additional information or final remarks? Mr.
No, I think
Lynch?
there's some people from the public who'd like to speak to this, though.
Yeah, that's correct. I'm sorry. To the public, I invite the public to come forward and speak to this issue. Please state your name for the record. Try and keep your comments to 3 minutes.
Good afternoon. Thank you. My name is Denise Lepel-Johnson. This is Ann Rosenthal. We're here representing the Mendocino County Child Care Planning Council, which is appointed jointly by the Board of Supervisors and County Superintendent of Schools. We have several members here of our Planning Council as well, and North Coast Opportunities, Rural Community Child Care staff, and licensing people. We want to publicly thank Frank Lynch for all his hard work on preparing this and making sure that the county code is consistent with the state code. Thank you very much. We appreciate that. And thank you for the recommendation for the use of the administrative permit for a large family child care home to remove the financial barriers for our providers. This ultimately helps our community by helping working families. Thank you, Frank, again, for recommending the reduced fee for the family child care homes in the coastal area. On page 5, it's mentioned that that there's a reduced fee for a family child care unit. We feel that the family child care home fits into this definition and would like to see a reduced fee for providers in order to establish family child care homes. If there's an opportunity for us to be able to change the fee structure to be consistent with the fee recommended for the rest of the county at the coastal area, we would appreciate that as well.
I'll stand up there. Once again, I'm Ann Rosenthal from the Child Care Planning Council. And I just want to call your attention to page 2, where it says the legislature finds and declares and talks about the intent of its language in the Health and Safety Code. It's about 2/3 of the way down the page. And I especially like the one that's letter F, that the program be operated by the state should be effective, and then the rest of the statement. I would just like to recommend that we think along the terms of that startup of child care facilities in Mendocino County should be cost-effective, streamlined, and simple to administer in order to ensure adequate care for children placed in family daycare homes while not placing undue burden on the providers. So I would like to see this board and the Planning Commission and the Coastal Commission consider that comment. Also, I have a question on the ordinance. Frank, maybe you can clarify. Under section 2320.045 of the ordinance that refers to the coast, I'm sorry, I don't have the number at the top, but it says under daycare facilities, small schools means, and then an underline for the changes that says a daycare home large is subject to a standard coastal development permit in all zoning districts that permit family residential use types. And I'm wondering, is that open for change at some point? Because my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, is the standard coastal development permit is $2,100 to $2,400, depending on the review requirements, the DOT and the DEH. That's a pretty high cost for a family child care provider trying to start a very valuable service business in our community. And so I'm wondering if this is going to be an ordinance, how do we go about impacting that so that we can see a lower fee? Perhaps the option Denise stated that we could be included under family care unit and have a fee of $810, or we could propose a different coastal administrative permit fee that might equal the same cost as providers pay in Mendocino, in the inland Mendocino County, so that they aren't penalized for living on the coast and trying to start a business and having to pay twice as much for the same service to the community.
I guess my response would be that it is our intent that to come back, and it's a separate process to modify our fee structure, and that we would be coming back to the board with requests to modify the fee structure for large family facilities to go down to roughly the same amount as the family care unit would be, so it would
Which
be
is
reduced.
810, right?
Correct.
Okay, so it's still a little more expensive on the coast, but it's better than $2,100. So we, so we appreciate that. So when this ordinance gets approved by the board, it will be sent to, I'm just trying, even though we are the Child Care Planning Council, we really don't have planning backgrounds. We have early childhood education backgrounds, so bear with me in the process.
So as I would understand the process is that there's two things that would happen. One, we have to package this and send it on to the Coastal Commission for their approval of a change within the zoning code, because that would change, that'd be a coastal plan amendment, because the zoning is part of the coastal plan. That can be a prolonged process. I've talked to the Coastal Commission staff and have tried to get them to consider this a minor amendment to expedite it to be consistent with state law, and I think I've made some headway using that argument, but nonetheless, it still needs to go through a potentially protracted, long process. In the interim, when the next round for modifying fees comes about, we would go to this board and see